We are back, continuing to look at the busy legislative session ahead.
And we're joined now by State Representative Sean Williams of Watertown.
And I'd like to talk first off about the budget again, because it's going to be such a big issue. And I'm wondering, what will be different about this time than 2 years ago? Because you're faced with a much larger deficit and without, presumably, the option of taxes.
Well, I'll tell you what I hope is different this time than from what happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had a budget that was put together basically by one party, by the Democrats in the legislature and by the Democrat governor. Republicans were largely excluded from that process, and we came up with an alternative to that plan, which was not supported by the Democrat majority. I think we saw in this past legislative session that you just referenced, the deficit mitigation plan that we put together, there was some successes. The legislature got together, Democrats and Republicans and the governor's office. We put together a bipartisan plan. We worked together till all hours of the day and night for many, many days and nights. When you're with people for that long, you tend to really get to know them, and I think we all got to know each other quite a bit and know what each other cares about. So I think my hope is that we can get together and work together in a bipartisan fashion to do this. And I think, from my party's perspective, that's where we're going to see the most successes. I just think that if we can get together in a bipartisan way, the session reconvenes this Wednesday for the 2013 legislative session. We can get together and do things. I'm not going to assume that anything's off the table. I'm not going to assume that working together is off the table. By the way, if it is that early, then we got some real problems.
Well, and I think the sentiment, even during the special session when you had the program about the Sandy Hook shooting, there was such a sentiment that the partisanship will be especially distasteful after something like that.
Representative Godfrey, you and Beth Bayh in the Senate have proposed this plan for dealing with guns, prohibiting the sale and possession of any rifle, shotgun, or pistol magazine with a capacity of more than 10 rounds. That, by the way, in Arizona failed, even after the Gabrielle Giffords
this is Connecticut.
The shooting. All right. Expand the definition of assault weapon to include, apply to firearms which exhibit just one particular physical trait as opposed to two.
Right.
That's all technical.
It is all technical, and it's very lawyerly and that kind of thing.
What do you think the political will?
Listen, I think this tragedy shook every single one of us to our core. If it didn't, something's wrong with you. I think that for those of us who shook the most, I think that we have to consider everything and make everything on the table. I think Bob's point is well taken, that this is not just about guns. That may be a part of it. That may be a part of the solution. This is about mental health. This is about a whole variety of issues. And my biggest fear is that I think the cruelest thing that we can do as elected officials is lead people to believe that some action or group of actions that we took as a legislature is going to solve the problem, that we wave the wand and it's going to go away. And I'm not suggesting Bob's saying that. I do think there's some people who are going to want to walk out of the 2013 session, pat ourselves in the back and say this won't happen again. I don't want people to get a false sense of security based on some action that we take. And I also don't want to see us go too far in one direction. There's a whole menu of things that are on the table. They should all be considered. I say that as somebody who has always been a pretty strong supporter of the rights of responsible gun owners. But everything should be on the table. We're crazy if we don't consider everything.
Well,